Alrighty. Um, so we have absolute value functions, and pretty much any function involving absolute values that we're going to graph is going to be in this format. Okay, and so we have a few values we want to keep track of. First of all, we have this value a, and its coefficient a, which I don't think it's going to be any secret that this is going to be like the slope. I very tiny wrote those. And then we have another two values. We have h and k. So h has to do with the vertex. H and k both have to do with the vertex. Okay, so we have h and k. And those are going to have to do with the vertex, as you can see here. And we have y equals absolute value of x. This is called the parent function. Parent. A parent function. This is probably the first parent function we're going to look at. And the parent is just like a parent in real life. They generate all the other functions that are absolute values. This is the most basic one. We just add to it. And then we can basically locate our function anywhere we want on the coordinate plane, opening up or down, and then also the steepness. Okay? And you can see why it has the shape that it does. We just pick some values for x, right? And then y are all the absolute values of those x values. And so, of course, they're always positive or zero. So if you plug in x, this is what the answers are. And then based on that, you plot some points, and then you make your graph. Any questions so far? Pretty basic, right? Bless you. Okay, let's talk about this HK thing, otherwise known as the vertex. Now, notice for h, it's associated with the x value, and k is associated with the y value. So this is coinciding with x and y. Also, notice that it's negative h. So the x value is negative whatever h is. So I'll give you an example. Say we wanted to find the vertex of a function. We want to know where it changes from positive to negative and vice versa. Basically here. So the vertex for this one is 0, 0, because that's where it's changing. So if you want to find the vertex for any absolute value function, you just have to know how to read the numbers. So let's find the vertex for these three. I'll do the first one, then I'll let you practice the other two. So let's see. First, we have to identify h and k. Let's see what numbers we get for h and k. We have this 2 here. And then we have this -3. So this is h and this is k. My h looks more like an n. All right. Now, this is going to be the location where it switches values on me. So what's the value I would enter here for h? It says negative h for the vertex. So it's plus, positive. If I flip the sign, it becomes what number? It's plus 2, so positive 2. But this is telling me get the opposite of that. What's the opposite of positive 2? Negative 2. So it would be located at x equals negative 2. Now, it doesn't tell me to do anything of the sort for the k value. So if it's plus 3, then it's positive 3. If it's minus 3, then it's negative 3. So in this case, what would be the value I would put for y? Will it be positive 3 or negative 3? Well, take a look, though. The reason we flipped the sign for h, because it had that negative in front. That tells you flip the sign. But we don't have that here. So whatever sign the plus or minus is telling us, that's what it is. So in this case, it's going to be negative 3. Okay? So we have negative 2, negative 3. Okay? Any questions? So now I know the location where it's going to flip from positive to negative is going to be at negative 2, negative 3. Okay? So let's try finding the vertex for the others. So try this one. I'll let you try that on your own. Remember, you flip the sign, and whatever you have here, that's your y value. Okay? So try finding the vertex for number 2. It's going to be an important point for us to identify. All right. So let's see if we can find the x value for our vertex. We got to take this and flip the sign. So what should it be? Positive 1. How about the y value? It's 0, yeah. Because we're not adding or subtracting anything, it's 0. Okay, so try number 3. So the vertex for number 2 was 1, 0. Let's find the vertex for number 3. And they're purposefully giving you the trickier ones, I think. What would the x value be? What's our h value? 0. Yeah, we're not adding or subtracting anything inside the absolute value symbol, so it's 0. How about the k value? Positive 4. There you have it. Okay, so I think we're in good shape. Let's go ahead and we're going to do 2 the old-fashioned way with building tables. And then the 2 in the back, I'm going to show you a few tricks. Okay? So let's get started on example number 3. So these are the steps. Find the vertex. Create a table to represent the function with vertex in the middle row. So that's going to be right there. And then graph the points. Okay, that's why we need the ruler. So first thing we have to do is identify the vertex for this function. So here we go. So it's going to be 0, -2. -2. Now, the location for that is going to be, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this middle value here, we're going to put that in. Oops, did it for the wrong one. So we're going to go ahead and put that in here. 0, and I already know the value here is going to be -2. Okay? So now we're going to pick a couple points less than that, couple points greater than that. So let's see, I'm going to do -1, -2, and then I'm going to do 1 and 2. Okay? So here we go. Let's replace x with -2 in our function. So what's the absolute value of -2? 2. And then 2 take away 2 is 0. We'll do the same thing with -1. Absolute value of -1 is 1. 1 minus 2 is -1. Let's move on. Well, we can just test out this one. Absolute value of 0 is 0. Minus 2 is -2. That's what we expected. And then we're going to do the same thing here, which is -1 and negative. I'm sorry. Yeah. And 0. Made a mistake there. It should be 0 because we're going to have 2. Take away 2 again, it's 0. Okay. So now let's plot those points. Let's find those points and plot them. So we want -2, 0 right here. -1, -1 right there. 0, -2 right there. And then 1, -1 right there. And then 2, 0 right there. And that's pretty much what we expected. There we go. So one way to do this is build a table. Any questions? All right, let's move on to number 4. Starting with the vertex, would you please write down the vertex value? Okay. What's the x value in the vertex? -2, right? Remember, whatever you have here, flip it. And since we're not adding or subtracting anything, it's 0. Okay? So our middle value here is going to be -2, 0. And we want to build around that. Let's do a few values less than -2, -3, -4. A few values greater than -2, -1, 0. Oops. All right. So let's go ahead and do some calculations, starting with -4. So we want y equals negative absolute value of -4 plus 2. All I did was replace -4 here. So this is going to give me -4 plus 2. So this, I got the negative absolute value. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. So the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. But what do we have in front? A negative. So this really turns out to be, well, remember, this is positive 2 right here. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2, but what do we have in front? A negative, so this becomes negative 2. Okay. Let's try that out with the other one. We got y equals negative absolute value. We're using negative 3 plus 2. Let's see what that gives us. Well, we got the absolute value of negative 3 plus 2, which is negative 1. So we got negative, the absolute value of negative 1. So remember, the absolute value of negative 1 is actually 1. So this is going to give us negative the absolute value of, or negative of 1, which is negative 1. All right. And it seems like it's going in a pattern, right? Negative 2, negative 1, 0. What's going to happen here, though, since this is the vertex? Well, let's try it. Plug in negative 1. Let's see. What's negative 1 plus 2? That's 1, right? What's the absolute value of 1? But we got the negative in front. That makes it negative 1, which matches with that. What's going to happen with 0? 0 plus 2 is 2. Absolute value of 2 is 2. But we got a negative in front. Negative 2. So the numbers repeat. Okay. So let's do this. Go ahead and plot the vertex first. Put negative 2, 0. So let's look for negative 2, 0. Right there. Oh, is that right? No, I messed up, didn't I? It's the other one. Negative 2, 0 is right here. There we go. And then plot the other points. So negative 3, negative 1, negative 4, negative 2. So it's doing that. And now let's do the ones on the bottom. Negative 1, negative 1, right there. And then 0, negative 2, right there. Okay. So let's go ahead and plot these. Make a line that goes all the way here. Like so. And let's go over here and do the same thing. Like so. All right. So let's observe one thing. How would you describe this? Opening up or opening down? Number 4. Opens down. We'll shorten it in a little bit to just up or down. Would you agree that number 3 here opened up? Now, which factor, which part of the function determines that? Which part of the function tells us it's going to open up or it's going to open down? Huh? The negative or the positive here? Okay, so we could say we have a 1 here, and it's positive 1, so it's going to open up. Here, we could say we have a negative 1, and it's negative, and it opens down. Now, besides that, this positive 1, negative 1 does one other thing. What's the slope for this? Just the right side, from the vertex up. What's the slope of this? Rise over run, what would that be? It's positive 1. Has to do with the 1 there. Over here, same thing. From this point, from the vertex to the right, what's the slope here? Negative 1. Has to do with that number 1 there. If we had a 2, a 3, a 4, it would be different. Okay? So I don't know about you, but making these tables is tedious. So we're going to put it all together now, and we're going to figure out how to do this without building tables like this. And that's how we're going to do it on today's assignment. Okay? Now, is anyone writing any of this down still? Okay, let's move on to the other two. By the way, found this little absolute value math dad joke. Anybody get it? Yeah, I guess he's finding out he's a negative blood type, but he can't because he's an absolute value. Thank you for humoring me. All right. Let's write down a few facts about number 5. Just by observation, guys. Opens up or opens down, this function? Opens up. Let's write that down. Opens up. Next, the vertex. 3 and 2. Well, it's definitely 3, and that's plus 2, so that's definitely 2. I would agree. Okay. Now, the final fact that we're going to need, the slope. The slope is 1, right? Because we could put a 1 in front of the absolute value. So let's write this as 1 over 1. Because we always want to think of a slope as the rise over run when we're graphing. Okay? So this is how you would graph this. You go here, find your vertex, which is 3, 2. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 over, 2 up, right there. So I went to 3, 2 because that's my vertex. Now that's where it changes, right? It's going to go, is it going to go down then up or up then down? Down then up because it has to open up. Okay? So this is our vertex. Here's our slope. It's 1 over 1. We know that it has to open up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up 1 over 1. Here's a point. I'm using my slope now to figure out that point. I'm going to go up 1 over 1. There's another point. I ran out of room here. So I'm going to go the other way from the vertex. How am I going to go now? I knowing that it has to open up. It has to do this. So do I go, I can't go up and to the right. Up and to the left because I got to get that V shape. Up 1 to the left 1. Up 1 to the left 1. Okay? And that's the graph, and we don't need to build a table. So I'd like you to try number 6. And state those 3 facts. By the way, there it is. So tell me how it opens. Tell me the vertex. Tell me the slope. Okay, figure those three out. Up or down. The vertex point and the slope as a fraction. Write those down. Okay, let's get one of these out of the way. Will it open up or down? It's going to open down because of the negative. Okay. How about the vertex point? Yeah, it's -1 here, so it's +1 actually, and then +3, so that's 1 comma 3. How about the slope? You remember, it's here. What's the coefficient? So let's make it -1/1. Okay, so let's plot the points, starting with 1, 3, 1/3 up. Okay, this time we want to open down. So from this point, and if I want to move to the right, will it be up 1/1 or down 1/1? Down 1/1, yes. And then for the other side, we're going to do the reverse. We're going to go down 1 to the left 1, because we know we got to get that characteristic V shape. So there it is. It has to look like this. Like so. So this is how we're going to graph on today's assignment. We're actually going to do this on Cami because it's easier, actually. Okay.